Thank you so much for having me. And here we go. Let's do this. So I assume that's working. Yes. Are you seeing the screen? Uh-oh.
Yes, we
Okay.
are.
Okay. All right. I didn't hear anything. Okay. Wow, this is an awesome program, and how you have it set up in the flow. So much is already set up for what I will talk about. So thank you, Angelica, Vanita, and Supriya. How wonderful you do. And again, this is a very complex issue. And so there are many that are needed to help address this issue, and in different ways. And every role is important. And I'm so thankful for all of us. And I love, again, whether we're in India or whether you're in the United States or somewhere else, we're human. And we all have a lot of those we have different cultures, but again, the humanness in us is what we're really addressing here in against human trafficking. So Sherry told you about Redeem and Restore and about me. So I just touching base on what you've already heard a little bit, but really about the home, about the restoration, is addressing each of these areas that have been completely broken by being trafficked, by being sold, by being used as a product. So we're addressing the physical needs, the psychological needs, emotional needs, relational needs, spiritual needs, because all of that makes us human. We're not just one piece. All of these pieces make us who we are. And you can't just fix one area and not fix the other. As you may have heard in some of the other discussions so far, it's all integrated together. So we got to work at bits and pieces. And that is the heart of the home, the restorative care. Oops, that's what I want. I show this picture because this is a picture of a brain scan. The first one is a normal, healthy brain for most people. The other brain scan is trafficked and sexually abused people. You see how the brain actually shrinks. So this isn't just surfacey things. This even changes us inside the body when these things happen. But the crazy, beautiful thing is, as we do these things, as we walk alongside them, and they make these healthy choices and begin to discover their self and accept who they are, as we've heard, and learn of their value, the brain can go back and grow again and be healthy, as in the first picture. So again, this is a horrible topic, but there is so much excitement, as I hope you've gotten already tonight or this morning through all of these speakers, is that's what's beautiful, the hope of what can happen regardless of the circumstances that they have been in. And I also talk about what's normal. We all have different normals. We have our cultural normals, we have our family normals, we have what's normal for us, what we've experienced in our life, what things look like, what we expect them to be. And I love this statement here, that normality is a behavior that can be normal for an individual when it is consistent with the most common behavior for that person. So normal is used to describe individual behavior that conforms to the most common behavior in society as well. So again, those that have been abused and being sold and expected this is all they're good for, or this is all they can do, when they accept that as that normal, they're stuck, they're trapped in that world, and we're really trying to break them out of that for restoration. This is a quote from a survivor in a book she wrote called Gems. Long-term healing requires that these girls and boys understand that what they have experienced is not their fault. So that many of these girls, sometimes their family members and social workers, law enforcement, drop-in centers, etc., can believe their expectation was always just their choice, which isn't always true, I might add. This perspective keeps them in in check and inherently believe that they're dirty, loose, bad, and that there's no hope. And they might as well go back to do what is normal, continue to do what they already know what's ahead, because also the unknown is very scary. Changing from what we expect, what is normal, is so scary. And that's why they need the support system, as we talked about, and as multiple, I believe, Supriya, I describe it as seeds, planting seeds. We're all planting seeds. We can barely fix ourselves, right? We struggle with changing things in our life. How do we change it for others? I walk alongside them, giving them opportunities. And that's what restoration is about, walking aside, being supportive for those as they make really difficult choices and learn and heal and grow and find value. And I love this little colorful picture because it shows a group of people, different backgrounds, different abilities, different talents. But if we can come around them and support them in ways that needs, not leaving them, being by their side, walking alongside them, being in their corner, offering opportunities or listening, being present. This is how real restoration happens. Outside the home, in the home, this is what people need, right? We need this as humans. We need people to support us, encourage us, inspire us to continue to grow. Another awesome quote from the same book called Gems. For restoration, at some point, the girls, the survivors, the victims, however you want to put it, have to be able to move past a sense of being perpetual victims. They have to make this choice. They have to understand this. Having no control over what happens to them, that they can take control. They need to feel empowered to utilize safety strategies, recognize unhealthy and manipulative relationships before they even begin, and understand what might make them vulnerable, and then be able to take steps to mitigate that, whether it's cutting certain people out of their lives, and often also becoming economically independent. And most of all, they need to finally understand what makes for a healthy and intimate relationship, understanding that has been distorted over the years of their suffering and their victimization. And if it's not corrected, puts them at risk for victimization over and over again. And this is really what restoration is. It's people sharing their gifts, their talents, their treasures, and walking alongside, helping empower them to be able to make these choices and these steps. I love this quote because this speaks to the heart of what we all need as humans. We need to be seen, we need to be heard, we need to be known, we need to be loved. And that's what we're starving for. And some are obviously starving more than others. And that's the seeds that we can plant. That's what they need most of all, so they can make these hard choices. And I believe Angelica talked about this a lot, and so did Vanita, about, understanding who they are and accepting who they are. And this is by other people being present to help them do that. One more quote. I'm sorry, but they're just so well stated. I like to use them. The women, the victims, they also need to understand the triggers of staying away from people and places and things and taking it one day at a time. And that restorative care home can help them do that. It's all intrinsic to the language of recovery from addiction, and also important component for their experience with the traumas of being trafficked. Girls, boys, victims have to be equipped with skills and tools to support them through the challenges that practice leaving. Again, it takes practice for change, right? So they can feel empowered enough to remain free from their trafficker and from that life, from that world of destruction. They have to understand that it's normal to even miss. Are you talking? I can't hear you.
You could take another 5 minutes. We're doing good on time, so you can take.
Okay, okay. Sorry. So I was saying they need practice because we have to practice making changes in our life. We don't just do it automatically, right? It takes practice. So it takes practice for them to break free of the world that they're used to. They have to understand that it's normal and they have conflicted emotions. It doesn't mean that they should go back or quit or give up. It just means they've been conditioned to feel that way and they need to have quickie strategies to deal with these feelings as they come up. So at the home, we use many volunteers. We all have roles to come alongside them. They have to make the choices. They have to choose to use the opportunities, but we have mentors that come in and show them different things to find out what skills that they have, to find out what dreams they have, to, and then do they need educational help? Do they need life skills? Yes, we teach them all these things with many volunteers walking alongside them, helping them become a whole human again so that they can build relationships with friends, hopefully with family, their support system, and continue to move forward in rehabilitating their lives. So a support system is ultimately the foundation of how they're able to make these great choices and move forward in opportunities. So I keep seeing your mouths move, Krista Light, but I don't hear anything.
Sorry,
Okay.
go ahead.
Okay, okay. So the role of the shelter is just really reintegrating by showing them different skills, teaching them how to cook if they need that, teaching them skills of how to live, to provide for themselves, to build healthy relationships, build friendships. And like the beautiful picture, I think that was it who showed the girl and how she's married. I mean, I could tell you endless stories of survivors that continue to inspire me of these hard choices that they've continued to work through. And now you would never know the world that they used to live in because of the joy that beams out of them and their smiles, you know, as you saw in those pictures of the other ones that were shared, how it changes on their face because inside their heart, their mind, their spirit, they have found freedom. They begin to walk out this new life of what they were created to do and be. And it's so exciting to watch them make these hard choices. But once they leave the home, we feel it's very important that we don't just cut off and say, high five, congratulations, hope you make it. We want to continue to be in their corner and say, hey, here's some parameters of offering continued support. We also offer continued trauma counseling support because real life can be difficult, right? Our normal average life in our communities is difficult at times. We financially, you know, in our families, you know, we lose people. It's hard. And all these things, as I mentioned, could trigger them giving up and going back to what they're used to. So we want to continue to support them even as they leave the home, begin working, begin relationships so that we still have a relationship with them so they can continue to come to us for support, encouragement as they continue to move forward with their life. So that's the real quick overview of what we do with the women and how we see that process going, which obviously could lead to many questions as well.
Thank you, Krista. That was beautiful. I think before we leave the floor for question and answer, my one question to you would be, as a society, for me, for me to accept a survivor, what is the role that I individually have to play?
Ah, see, yes, I love that. I think what people are listening today, learning that awareness of how this happens and why this happens, whether they made some bad choices or people manipulated or a conglomeration of both, is no one, someone said it previous, no one wants to it's because of circumstances or vulnerabilities that they've had, and the society and culture needs to be able to see this truth and understand that, just like we don't want to live that life, they don't either, but they don't see hope is the key for them to begin to dream, begin to see if there's other options. And we've got to bring awareness and education to the public, and not just, oh, and that's their own fault. We need to see that as a valuable human and understand that there's manipulative people in this world. There's dire circumstances that lead people to make really bad choices that they have no idea of, these horrible consequences and world that they get trapped into at some point. So we need to continue to educate people to the understanding of this human connection that we can have with these individuals, that they are like us as a human, that they desire love, they desire relationship, and they do not desire to stay in that world. Some I have heard often, at some point, many victims in a false empowerment state how they chose this life. They're fine, they want this life, which is really false empowerment, and they're lying to themselves, is the truth, so they can survive, so they can feel that they have some control, when they really don't, because they're at the mercy of whoever is using them. They are to perform, they are to do, or they don't get paid, or they get beat, or they get killed. It's surviving. And I think just educating people on all these different aspects to bring that human component of understanding that these are humans, just like you and me, and they do not want to live this life. They may believe it for a time, but it doesn't take long where that wears very thin. and it amazes me, actually, that some of them stay alive, that they don't kill themselves. They don't allow that there's something within them that wants to fight to live, even though they live in this tortured world. It's amazing, the human body and structure, what we can survive, and what we'll do and lie to ourselves to survive. So yes, so hopefully that made sense and answered your question in this circle. My brain goes circles, but really continuing education and awareness and understanding our connection as humans, and understanding that, yes, this is not a life of, I call them walking dead. I mean, because they are not really living. They are surviving in a bizarre, horrible, horrific, tortured life.
Yeah, very true. Thank you, that helps. So now I want to really thank all the facilitators for your time and for your presentations. We would